Underrated Podcast, per usual. I'm here with Zoo and Peebush. How you guys doing?
Phenomenal,
right.
man.
You phenomenal, Zoo?
Dude, not gonna lie. This past week was a roller coaster of emotions. Roller coaster. First week of the playoffs is always stressful, so these games mean a lot more. And not gonna lie, my team was getting his ass whooped by fucking Rashad Penny, dropping 2 tutties on me. Tyler Lockett, Jamar Chase, 2 tutties in the fourth quarter. After the 2 tutties by Jamar Chase, I went to bed because I was so sad. My team was down 57 to 132. But you know what happened, boys? The Green Bay Packers against the Chicago Bears, baby. Hey, shout out to my man Aaron Rodgers. Shout out to my boy Aaron Jones. Shout out to my boy Devontae Adams.
They had a heyday, man.
Oh, my Lord. I asked for a virtuoso. I even texted the person I was playing against. I'm like, I need a virtuoso. I am praying for the fantasy gods. My prayers have been mentioned. They have been answered. They dropped a cool little 80 points against the Chicago Bears. And then the cherry on top, James Conner drops a fucking Herculean effort against the Los Angeles Rams. It was a beautiful, beautiful week of football.
That's a good start to a 2-week round of fantasy football playoffs right there. Because Zoo's got it's a shout out to anybody. Zoo came up with, I think, a better technique for fantasy playoffs by, you only make 4 teams, right? And you play 2 weeks in the aggregate to maintain. So if you're still doing the single week playoffs, man, definitely switch to that. Zoo was on top of that from the moment he became commissioner. But Zoo, I think you got it.
I don't like that March Madness BS, man. I don't want no upside. I want the best team winning. I like the NBA type playoffs,
consistency.
Baby. Yeah, the best
Series.
team. You get 2 weeks, no random fluky week of someone winning. The best team moves on. You deserve it. And you deserve to win the championship. So
the only issue with that though, Zoo, is the bye weeks. So
that's another thing I got. Yeah, I got to look into the bye weeks because
you got lucky
up to week 14. Oh.
You didn't have to play Jonathan Taylor this week.
Dude, that's crazy. This man's team did not have Jonathan Taylor, Jalen Hurts, and he still dropped 132.
Yeah,
that's
so you might be screwed.
That's insane, right? He dropped 132 with like half his roster on bye. Shout outs to him. But I had those Green Boys against the Chicago Bears.
And look, and Zoo and I were texting back and forth because to me that was the best half of football I've seen the Bears play in 3 damn years, man. And I was sitting there like, I don't even know what I'm watching. They're putting up 27 points in the first half. I know 7 of those came from a punt return, which was an unbelievable punt return. I might add. Jakeem Grant had a hell of a game. Yeah, had that nice little forward Patrick Mahomes type pass from Justin Fields to pad Fields' stats a little bit. I'll take it, man. That pick 6 that he threw was tough. That's just a mistake that he is bound to make, a bunch of times against a really good secondary, even without Jair Alexander in Green Bay, because I don't know, man. The Packers defense had been on a roll, and the Bears arguably put up one of the better performances against the Packers in Lambeau. And it was good to see Fields take a little bit of progression there.
Yes.
He finally put up over 20 fantasy points. I thought that was huge.
But like, Justin feels like, he had a nice game. Yeah. That special teams had a nice day, man. That special teams
and Green Bay special teams need some work. They need some work, man, if they're going to win a championship.
Man, they were so bad. Like, I don't even know how bad they were. Like, they had that one weird rule, right, where they pretty much had the onside kick. It was returned for a tutty, but it got returned back for some reason.
Yep. Because you can't touch it. If it's untouched and it goes 10 yards, then you can run it back. That would have put us right next to it.
I don't know. That's a dumb rule. I think the Bears deserve a tutty after that. I was like, man, that's just a bunch of noobs from the Packers, man. Don't know how to catch a football.
Hey, man. Historically, the Packers' special teams has caused them a lot of angst in the playoffs. So,
I remember.
I know.
I remember.
I know what you're about to say.
I remember Seattle. I would not recover from that Seattle game with that scrubby dubby name. If I remember, Bostic, was it Bostic?
I think
it was.
Man.
It wasn't John Bostic.
No, it wasn't John Bostic. That's the first person I thought of. But it was something Bostic.
My Lord.
God, it's gonna.
If that dude catches the ball, Aaron Rodgers goes to the Super Bowl to play Tom Brady. I was robbed of that.
We were robbed for real.
I was robbed.
And now you might be able to see him in the conference championship game this year. Let's hope.
Brandon Bostic.
I remember that brother
had to
got
cut
immediately, man. He got cut immediately. The Super Bowl opportunity. Like that is unforgivable in the nation of Green Bay. Unforgivable. My God, I still haven't recovered from that.
Do you think Rodgers solidified his MVP? or put it at least in the top 2 with Brady.
Yeah, like him and Brady. Like I feel like at Brady's numbers, like Brady's got way more tutties, like 30. He put up 36 tutties, 10 picks, but Aaron Rodgers 27-4 more efficiency. Yeah, but it's them and them neck and neck. Because like I don't know what people are talking about Josh Allen or Kyler Murray.
I don't know who's
Kyler
saying
Murray.
that.
They were in the odds.
That was week
the
1.
The odds makers like Josh Allen and Kyler Murray for some reason. I'm like, I don't know what they. I remember when Aaron Rodgers
lose a lot of money.
was like 5th or something. Remember that
sixth,
when you made the
couple
bet?
weeks ago.
I was like, what are you guys talking about? It's like Aaron Rodgers is like top 2 right now. Like I don't know if he was smoking, but finally he's gone up the rankings. Now him and Brady. But I feel like Brady's story right now of him being old and stuff and still getting it done with a ridiculous team. Now he's doing it without AB right now. He's still getting it done. So I feel like Tom Brady's story. I feel like the narrative is going to support Tom Brady and get it, but my vote goes to Aaron Rodgers because you know my feelings about Jordan Love being a backup and that replacement level. They're the Jacksonville.
Who are the Bucks replacement? I don't even know who is their backup.
Yeah,
that's a great question.
I
don't think anybody's even mentioned it might be Blaine Gabbert.
I think they drafted somebody. I'm not sure. They might have. I don't know. I've always wondered that because Brady is another. He never gets kind of durable. Yeah, he's a durable. Since that one injury season,
he never gets injured. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's Blaine Gabbert.
Blaine Gabbert.
Oh, it is Blaine.
He's getting a nice little tenure.
He better than Jordan Love.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's the Jacksonville Jaguars, though, like you said. So
didn't he take them to the AFC Championship game?
No, that was Blake
Bortles.
Blake Bortles.
Yeah. And he actually had a damn good year that year.
Mm-hmm.
For his standards. Let's not compare him to a Brady year or a Rodgers year. I don't think that's what we're saying. But hey, man, that was another one, man. I mean, the Bucks keep rolling. Huge win against the Bills and a devastating loss for the Bills. I mean,
Bills are they're tanking or something. I don't know what's going on with them.
And Josh Allen looked good.
He played his heart out.
Yeah,
he was an RB1, man. This dude freaking rushed over 100 yards. Pretty much, they did not give over 5 carries to their running backs.
I think in total, I think they had 8 carries, and they were actually at 7 yards a carry. So they were doing well, but it was just a Josh Allen show, man, per usual.
Yeah, Josh Allen put on a virtuoso. Almost made the comeback. Going to overtime, but then
they got the coin toss.
Yeah, they missed the opportunity.
And they went 3 and out. You can't give that gift back to Brady, man. You can't win the coin toss 50-50 pure chance. Win it against Tom Brady. Go 3 and out, punt him back the ball. Not even by if you had even scored a field goal in that situation, at least it puts a little bit of pressure on Brady to say, okay, we have to score on this drive instead of, hey, even if we punt on this one, the game keeps going, right? So, I mean, I think they were talking about it on Sunday Night Football pregame.
Yeah.
But the odds that dropped from the Bills losing that game for the possibility to win the division is now pretty slim. And even their playoff chances are pretty much 50-50 at this point. With
wild card race. They're going to be fine for a wild card.
Yeah, they are the wild card. I think they might be the last spot wild
card. They better be glad they're in the AFC because I'll tell you what, I don't know if there's a situation that I would even be confident that the Bills can do anything in the playoffs that they make it. I just feel like they're Josh Allen or bust. And I know they had an injury to their best corner, but man, it's like, you would think, and I'm not saying Josh Allen is a bad quarterback, but he just seems like he's not playing at the level he was last year. I just don't think he's at that level. And part of that might have to do with the Bills maybe fool's gold with their weapons because it really is on offense, Stephon Diggs or bust. Like, it ain't like they have these plethora amount of, like, receivers and running backs by committee, which I hate running backs by committee. Like, I'm a big believer.
And it's a bad committee, too. Like, Devin Singletary and Matt Breida, like, I'm sorry. That's a
Don't forget about Zach Moss there, too.
Not getting it
once
done.
In a while.
Not getting it done, dude.
But
and
the
then
thing
you have
is if they use them, right, at least just give them 10 carries, man. Like, I know you're not taking anything away, but if Josh Allen throws 15 incompletions in a game, why not give 5 of those to the running backs? And that gives you another 35 yards on their average against a pretty damn good run defense in the Bucs. So they were right in that game, and I think that was the game where they implemented the run when they had to, and it worked when they used it. And that's partially why I think they stayed in it, on top of Josh Allen being able to put up 11 yards a carry and a touchdoone.
Ridiculous.
I mean, he is an RB1. He is part of the committee. He is.
Yeah. It's kind of like how
he is by far the best running back. Because he's the bigger player too.
Yeah,
like size wise, strength wise, he's bigger than both Devin Singletary.
Fast.
Yeah, Devin Singletary and Matt Breida. So I'm just like, yeah, he's built like an RB, but he's playing QB. So what he's doing, man. But Tom Brady, man, getting his 700th touchdown on the game winner. Oh my Lord.
58 yards at that.
Oh my Lord. I was just like, oh my God, this guy just wins.
He just figures it out.
Yeah, I don't
Every
even think
time.
it's Brashad Perriman. One catch, one
think so,
touchdown,
it's Perriman.
58 yards. Brashad
And
Perriman.
thank God it wasn't to Godwin because I was facing him up in the daily fantasy on DraftKings and I was up 2 and I saw them score a touchdown. My Wi-Fi went out. Typical. I know you guys all know about that story, right? So I had to restart YouTube TV real quick. Came back and it showed that they scored and I didn't know who scored. And I was like, oh, thank God it was Perriman, man, the guy that I don't care about. But hey, man, he spreads the ball around and he's going to get more touchdowns than how old he is. I think at this point he's going to throw 44 plus this year.
Oh,
if
I need him.
He's at 37.
Yeah, 36.
36. There you go. He's
Yeah.
got 4 games left.
Yeah, he's going to easily hit 40.
Oh my
Going for
God.
Easy.
50, going for 50 tutties, man. That's what he's going for.
He is?
If he gets 50 tutties,
MVP.
Certified
probably
MVP.
win. Yeah, he's probably win MVP.
Yeah.
And I'll need him, man. I'll need him this week, man. Chris Godwin, I'm putting you in this week. I'm putting you in.
Who they playing?
They're playing against a bad team. That's all I know, man. They're playing against a bad team. I saw that matchup. Oh, it was a nice matchup for my boy Chris Godwin.
Saints.
Yeah, that's a bad team. That's a bad.
And they know him, man. They know him.
Like
Ever since Jameis went down, they kind of packed it on in. I think the only hope they had was that Thursday night game against Dallas with Taysom, and I think Taysom even messed up his hand that game. And I was like, yeah, that's all she.
He had 4 picks, man. He had 4 picks.
3 or
That's-
4.
that's-
Still had 20. He still had 26 points in fantasy, though. Which
yeah, he did put up points. In
Dude, you know what he is?
running
He's
threat.
he's a white Jalen Hurts, man.
Yeah,
That's what he is.
Yeah.
Dude,
I think Jalen goes
the brother
far.
can get like 4 points after 2 quarters, but then the minute he starts running like an RB, man, he goes RB1 mode. Oh, he's pretty
Garbage
good at getting, dude, rushing touchdowns, man. He's great at getting those, man. But yeah, he reminds me so much of Jalen Hurts. It's actually
And
hilarious.
they're lurking, man. I mean, we don't have to dive into it fully, but like, Washington. I think if Heineke was in that, they would have made a push on that final drive to tie up that
Man,
game.
you saw the
Better than
difference.
Kyle Allen.
You saw the difference in talent level of
Well,
the
they
Washington
are
football team
surging,
and the Dallas Cowboys.
Absolutely, but they were pushing back. They had that pick 6. Dak pretty much imploded in that game.
Dak was atrocious.
And do you want to know why that game was so close?
He got paid so much money. I don't know what happened. He started the year out like really well, and now he's
Because
like,
he got paid.
It's the name of the game, man.
Dude, you get that burden off your shoulders, man. You're no longer playing for a $40 million contract. You're playing
200
to hope to
yards
keep
and
half of
2
that.
picks. That's
Yeah, I mean-
inexcusable. Like, thank
Oh,
God
yeah.
he has Michael
And-
Parsons in that defense.
You
Like,
want
that
to talk about
defense is
inexcusable?
incredible.
What's Zeke doing, man? Putting up under 4 yards a carry again, and he didn't have his
Come
boy
on,
to back
Zoo.
him up this time.
Come on, Zoo.
Oh,
You gotta
not
come
gonna
around,
lie. I am the biggest Zeke believer, Zeke shareholder, Zeke fanboy. But my oh my, he sucked it up. Like Tony Pollard was out, so I was like, okay, Zeke's gonna eat, baby. This
didn't
is
get to
a
see the
division
explosiveness.
rival. Let's give the brother some carries. But man, oh man, 3.8 yards per carry, 45 yards. Inexcusable. The boy Corey Clement put up the
Yeah, I
same
have no
numbers,
idea
man.
who that is.
The third string running back put up the same
Former
numbers
Eagle.
as Ezekiel Elliott.
Mm-hmm.
Ezekiel Elliott. And last week was trying to get in the playoffs, man. I barely made the playoffs. Thank God I had some other guys to bail out my boy Zeke. I didn't make the playoffs because of Zeke. I made it in spite of him. And he's my RB1. That's pathetic. Another dude that got paid $90 million. Chilling
Their defense
Cabo
is
fan.
carrying.
45
Their defense
yards.
is
Surprisingly,
man.
yeah, surprisingly.
Surprising. I don't think any of us predicted their defense to be carrying them to a 9-4 record. We thought all of us for sure thought it would be the offensive side.
Yeah. Dude, they're stacked, man. Like Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup is a third receiver.
They're like
Second
four
Dalton
deep,
Schultz is
yeah.
having a good
Like
year.
Dalton Schultz,
Four
like they
different
got a
receivers.
nice receiving core, good old line, good running backs, 2 solid running backs. I'm like, Dak, your franchise QB, but
Yeah. But they can't.
Embarrassing.
It just doesn't seem to all
Embarrassing.
click. I don't know if it's maybe. I mean, Dak's clearly not making the best decisions. I mean, look, he's a great
2 picks.
quarterback.
that Washington football team defense not that good, man. It's not that
They've been-
good.
Look, I
They're
know
playing a little
they
better.
lost Chase Young. They've been playing better. I think better than people expected without Chase Young. I think we can all agree to that. But look, I mean, they're still hovering at that 6 and 7. You know, that last wild card.
They're greedy.
And then
team. Yeah.
And then you got 4 teams outside of the playoffs with the same record in the NFC. And then you got the Seahawks lurking at 5-8, which, if you think about it, is really only a game back.
They didn't make it, man.
All I'm saying is, man, that 7th spot in the NFC is wide open at this point. Vikings have a pretty tough schedule. They got to go play the Packers and Lambeau.
Yeah.
You know, the Eagles, who knows if Hurts is going to come back this week. Can Gardner bring him another win? The Falcons are hot right now. And
I can't stand that Ryan.
I can't
Their
stand
defense is atrocious, man.
But it is all right. I mean, all right. Let's see this. So you got Heineke, Kirk Cousins, Jalen Hurts, Matt Ryan, Taysom Hill, PJ Walker / Cam Newton or Russell Wilson. Those are all within one game of each other to get that 7th spot.
Who do you trust out of that the most?
Who do you trust?
Kirk Cousins.
Because
he got Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook, baby, and that O-line.
Yeah.
That offense is sensational. That's an
They have a top 10. They have a top 10 most difficult strength of schedule their last 4 weeks. That's the only thing. And then you're looking at a team like the Seahawks are bottom 5.
When do they play Green Bay?
When do they play Green Bay?
Yeah, because if Green Bay's got the seating locked up, then that might
they'll
be.
still play them, man. So they got to play.
No, it's going to last. It's definitely going to last
play,
because you're going to be fighting for number 1 seed overall for home.
Who's the second seed in the NFC? Arizona.
The Bucks.
I
forgot about the Bucks.
They're all tied at 10-3, but it goes Packers.
I was thinking to myself,
Cardinals.
like with the recent injuries of the Cardinals, I was thinking like maybe if like Green Bay gets so far out, but I forgot about the Bucks and the Rams now.
Yeah, Rams they got a game behind.
The Vikings are playing the Bears twice, which I understand, but the Bears always split, man. They always split with Minnesota. It doesn't matter. They're playing Monday night, and we all know how Kirk plays on Monday night.
Yeah, he's not good in prime time.
Especially against the Bears. By that, actually, I think he's 0-3 against the Bears in prime time. And then they have to play the Rams and the Packers. Those are their 2 other games at Lambeau, and then at home against the Rams, which is still no easy feat. So I mean, it's tough. I think the NFC's a little bit more wide open than the AFC, just because the Bills are probably going to make it, and if any team gives them a run for their money, I mean you're talking between the Browns, Bengals, Broncos, and Steelers. And that's, at this point, it's kind of tough to tell. So
Cleveland, I don't see it. Cincinnati, I could see a team. Maybe.
They're so inconsistent, man. They did not get the end zone until 9 minutes left in the 4th quarter, man, and they just pop off for 2 in a row, get some stops.
I probably would rather want to see Cincinnati than Buffalo just because of Burrow.
For sure,
that's probably more of my heart speaking than actual facts of what would actually happen in getting seeding. Yeah, NFC to me is super wide open just because of Arizona now with Hopkins being injured till they say the playoffs, which is always difficult because it's like if it's a knee sprain, then is he going to be ready for that first game? Who knows? And then you have the Rams just out of nowhere. It's like, okay, now we're back. Now we're getting Odell involved. Now we're going to play like a team that wants to be in the playoffs. Stafford throwing tutties all over the ground. He's got a lot of deep weapons too. So kind of, you kind of maybe had this inkling maybe 2 weeks ago, like, okay, the Packers and Bucks, it looks like it's going to be a rematch in the NFC Championship game. But now I feel like there's at least 2 other teams that can maybe come crash the party in the NFC. AFC, like I say, it's just a wacky, wonky division to me. Like that whole side I'm not confident in anybody at all on that side. As a team, I'd be like, okay, that's a team that can make a run to the playoffs. New England, everybody keeps saying New England. That'll be so unprecedented if a rookie quarterback took a team to a Super Bowl. Like that's just hard to fathom. So I can't pick them, even though they're really good. I just can't.
Bill Belichick, man. He's trying to redeem himself, man. He saw Tom Brady get a ring, man, and he was getting some hate. But like, man, it was more Tom Brady. If he wins a ring with a rookie quarterback, oh my Lord, the conversation's back again. It's back again versus Brady versus Belichick. That is ridiculous, man.
Yeah,
if
that's
he
almost
wins
more.
The year after. Oh my!
It's more
Lord.
impressive than Brady going and winning in his first year. I think.
Yeah,
I think it is. Yeah,
way more.
Because like Brady went to a team that was legitimately stacked on offense,
and then he made it more stacked.
Yeah.
By bringing in Fournette and Gronk,
like Fournette and Gronk, like
and AB.
AB. Like they had one of the most historic offenses ever, and their defense last year was ridiculous. And because I don't know the Patriots offense. It's okay. It's not explosive at all. It's just
not
like,
vertical at all.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little Dick and Duncan run game. A little reminds Stevenson.
But their defense is good and sound.
Damian Harris, it's just like it's not that explosive an offense. So it'll be interesting to see them play against a team that'll be putting up like 30 points. Can they keep up with those types of teams?
The Chiefs.
Yeah,
because you're looking at the top.
Exactly.
And it's like the Titans. I don't see them. Nah. I mean, they have an easy schedule. They're going to make the playoffs. I think we can all agree that.
Yeah, I don't buy them. They lost to.
I don't buy them doing anything. I don't buy the Ravens.
Oh, dude, they're too injured now. Now Lamar Jackson is injured.
He's day to day. He'll be fine.
But I'm just saying,
sprained
all
his
these
ankle.
injuries, man, to overcome all those injuries, I'm like, their secondary is completely in shatters. Obviously, in the beginning of the year, losing every single one of their running backs, like you can't overcome all those injuries.
No,
like you just can't. It's
and
not
then you're
their
looking
fault.
at the Chargers and Colts. I mean, those are the other two that are up there.
I
now.
do like the
Chargers
Colts.
could pop off randomly. I think that's guaranteed.
Herbert's a game changer there. Yeah,
he's a game-changing quarterback, man. And then the Colts, kind of similar.
I like
to
the Colts. I like the Colts.
Kind of similar to the Patriots,
I like
man.
The Colts. Yeah,
That'd
they
be an
got,
interesting game.
they're a pretty balanced team. Carson
Super
Wentz
balanced.
Sometimes looks pretty good, sometimes looks awful, but yeah,
They just need to win. They need to win probably 3 of their last 4 games. I think if they really want to make a push and put pressure on the Titans too, because I mean, if the Titans just kind of implode, which is very possible if they're relying on Julio Jones as their number one.
Yeah,
with all those injuries, man, I don't know.
He done, man. He old.
I think the Super Bowl is pretty wide open, at least on the AFC side. The NFC, it's kind of between 3 or 4 teams.
Rodgers and Brady, bro.
Maybe the Cardinals and the Rams.
Nope. I'm out on the Cardinals. I see no chance. I like the Rams. I like the Rams more.
But I like the Rams.
That game changed it for you, huh?
Yeah, I just like the Rams a lot more than the Cardinals. I don't know. Kyler Murray, I just feel like he's not there yet, man. He's not that level. He's still young. He's still learning the game. He's coming off injury too. Like, I don't know. I just feel like they're a regular season team, and the playoffs are gonna get destroyed. Because if I'm a Packers fan, so if I see the Cardinals in the playoffs against Aaron Rodgers, I'm butt whooping. The Rams, I'm a little scared. I'm a little scared of Sean McVay, man. I'm scared of the Bucks too, man. Yeah, exactly. I feel like those teams are bigger threats to making it to the Super Bowl because of their experience. They all have more experience, and like, especially in coaching. And the only thing is like Matt Stafford doesn't, but I feel like his talent level with Sean McVay, he's gonna finally fulfill his potential.
See, I don't believe in Matt Stafford.
Really?
Never played a playoff game.
I gotta see him in the playoffs for me to be able to.
He got Cooper Kupp, man. This dude's like the modern day Jerry Rice numbers right now, man.
Cooper Kupp is now. If Odell starts, maybe now I know he's got COVID, but
yeah, he got.
If he starts coming in and being that second option, then I can be like, okay, now Matt, it's hard to fail because you're gonna have 2 legitimate options in the playoffs. And their running game, I know, is like
they got solid running game,
whatever,
Henderson,
but he's good
Sony
enough
Michel,
to get it done.
Yeah,
he's good enough. So the defense has a lot of named players, but I still not super like, they're gelled together. I'm not, because I mean they gave up 23 points to the Cardinals. I think in the NFC, we're all thinking of these different avenues. And even though I said earlier, there's like 4 or 5 teams you could be like, okay, Dallas maybe being that 15, like they could put it all together. But let me tell you, it's probably going to come down to the Packers and Bucks. And,
for sure.
And depending on home field,
that's what I want, man. I want that rematch. I want some redemption from my boy.
That's big. If Brady has to go up to Lambeau, I'm
telling you that bye week is gonna be huge.
Mm-hmm.
That bye week is gonna be massive. So that's why right now every game matters. Right now, that bye week could legit cost you a Super Bowl because not gonna lie, like the NFC is tough, man. Like top to bottom, this is by far the better conference. So if you get a bye week, man, easier path to the Super Bowl, baby. And the frozen tundra.
Now that there's only one, it's almost more. I actually like that they added a playoff spot but removed a bye week, right? Because it forces you to push through, play that 18th week possibly, right? Aaron Rodgers will likely have to because I really don't foresee the Packers or Bucks getting any further than a game apart of each other. Now the Packers do have the tiebreaker, which is pretty big, but I don't know if that comes down to conference wins or if that comes down to because those are the 2 divisions that are playing each other this year.
Well, I'm telling you right now, the Green Bay Packers are going to win out.
Yeah,
they play against the Baltimore Ravens, who's just injured.
You never know.
Cleveland Browns.
Okay. That's a
Baker
lot.
Mayfield, come on now. The Minnesota Vikings. That one.
Man. Those are, you never know, man.
Yeah,
division games.
But the last game, Detroit Lions. That's a bye week.
That's a dub. Yeah.
That's so they got a pretty
That's
easy
a bye
schedule.
week.
Yeah, it is. Like DeAndre Swift, TJ Hawkinson, they're both injured and they have like 1 win this. They have one. Yeah, they have 1 win this year.
Yeah, they got the dub, man.
Yeah,
against the Vikings.
Give them some credit, dude. Jeez,
come on, man.
Okay, this is why I don't like the Vikings.
I opened the segment last podcast with that. Had to shout him out, man. But look,
they won on 1 play, man. They were like legit a coin flip. They won last
on the final play, man. 4th down, 4 seconds.
Yeah, they were a second away from being having no wins. But yeah, that schedule wise, they going undefeated.
Then kind of looking at the AFC real quick too. I mean, we've been talking about the Dallas defense for I feel like a couple weeks at this point, just how impressive they've been. The Chiefs defense was impressive this past week against the Raiders, man. I thought that was probably the biggest surprise of the week, not just because I don't know if they were just nervous about their gameplay or if Melvin Ingram was really that big of an addition for them. Chris Jones. I mean, he's huge. It allows Chris Jones to really focus on the interior, right? I think they probably said this a ton during the game. But look, that was huge. I mean, Patrick Mahomes didn't have to do too much. He threw 24 times. When was the last time Patrick Mahomes only threw less than 25 passes? I mean, that's a pretty rare game when you're not asking him to do too much and your running game's working. I think they put up like 130
Shout out to CEH. Shout out to CEH.
Nice game. Derek Gore had a couple really nice runs in that game.
Yeah,
their backup. He got a tutty. Yeah, that was garbage time, granted. But on the other side, I mean, I think we got to shout out one of the more quiet up-and-coming wide receivers in the league, man. Hunter Renfrow. He's got nearly 90 catches, 900 yards, and 5 touchdowns, man. He's going to break 1,000 this season. He's probably going to have close to 10 touchdowns, if I were to guess. He's quietly becoming a great second option with Darren Waller. He's one of the better route runners in the league. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Cooper Kupp in that sense of his ability to get open. So I just had to give the Raiders one little
fun fact
aspect.
about Hunter Renfrow. What's insane about his story and how good he is in the NFL, he was a walk-on at Clemson.
Yep.
Walked on.
Wild.
And I don't even think like he was more of a, hey, you're walking on because we look at you as a receiver. I think he was probably looked at as more of a special teams and just grinded all the way until now.
Yep.
It's just insane. I think he's from Lower State. Might be from the Charleston area. I'm not sure. But, yeah, he's definitely one of those guys who's a tactician as a route runner. And, you know, with the unfortunate situation with Ruggs, I think he's kind of grown into a role now that going into next year, he's going to be drafted pretty high in fantasy. And he's going to be a guy that is going to be very beneficial in fantasy and for your team. Like, you know, I'm not the biggest believer in Derek Carr, but, I mean, if he's going to have him and Waller, that's a nice 1-2 punch for the future of the Vegas Raiders. So
nah,
we'll see.
Man. When the Raiders on television, I like watching different teams. The Raiders.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not
Derek
Carr.
Derek Carr.
They're not.
Never a believer, man. I feel like I see the same thing
Carr.
every year, man. They start out real strong and then they fall off the cliff. Like I remember the same thing happening last year. Last year they also beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I remember the most epic game ever. They beat the Chiefs.
And
they're talking trash.
The Ravens in week 1 this year. Most
epic
game ever this year.
Yeah. So I'm just like, man, they always start off.
I guess they get a
strong
pass this year because of the whole coaching
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
If they get a guy that's, I don't know, a up and coming offensive coordinator that's a hot shot, maybe
Urban Meyer.
Yuck. What are we doing?
They got to fire his ass and not pay his ass because I don't think he deserves the money.
How does that work?
This dude's just very unlikable guy, man. Not only does he suck at NFL coaching, I just think the dude's a dick, man. Just by his actions, his past actions, his current actions. Now all these reports leaking about him, just man.
They're driving him out.
He was kicking. Did you see that report? Last report said he kicked the kicker or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like he kicked him, like before the game, saying you better make kicks. Like what is? That's what happens.
Are you kicking your kicker?
I don't know what's going on. You know what? It's just this whole arrogance of college coaches who have been in a place for a long time and they just run a whole institution. Then they feel like, hey, I did it at this level of football. Let me go and talk to grown men a certain way. And it just doesn't work like that. Like there's a story about, and I heard it the other day on a podcast. Scott Van Pelt has a podcast that he does with Stanford Steve. And he was talking about how I think Scott Van Pelt's a huge Washington Redskins or Washington football team fan. And he was talking about how Steve Spurrier was the coach. And, you know, in college, you have scholarships and you have like 75, 80, whatever amount of kids on scholarships. So you can run kind of like 2 practices, right? Like the best players and then like the younger players. And said, you know, he wanted to do that in Washington. And the players would tell him like, Coach, we only got 53 players. Like we can't run on 2 separate fields and do 2 different types of practices. And like that kind of was like foreshadowing how he was going to do it in the NFL because he has no idea
that
hey,
put that together.
You have 53 guys or 53, 52 guys on the roster. Like you can't do that. So it's like these guys just come in and, you know, owners are never going to admit defeat. But you just got
he's pretty close to him, man.
You got to eat it, man.
The Jaguars owner's like, man, I just want my fans to be happy. I'm just like, man, fire
just trying to sell tickets.
Just fire the coach, man.
And Trevor Lawrence is regressing. That's the biggest reason why I would get rid of Urban Meyer.
That's not.
Like, there's no way he's that bad. There's no way.
Nah,
he arguably looks like
dude,
he's rivaling Zach Wilson.
Dude, he is. Like every time like the Jags and the
point.
Jets, man, I'm starting a defense because I know those rooks can be throwing at least one pick to my defense. At least one pick. Like I'm like, oh, there you go.
4.
Trevor Lawrence with another pick. Like, my God, pick machines, man.
Yeah, he doesn't even know who's throwing the ball to half the time.
Urban Myers, man. Hope his wife divorces his ass, man.
Oh, come on, Zoo, man.
I don't like the man. I don't like him, man. I think he's a bad person, too. Bad coach and a bad human being.
I mean, he probably is. You're right.
Yeah, man. That was smug look on.
Well, no, if you go back to his story of the whole Ohio State situation, and I don't want to relitigate that again, but if you go into that story of what happened with his assistant coaches, you're not wrong, Zoo. But
I know. I remember that situation. Real shady, man. Real shady.
That was kind of like, what are you doing? But I don't know. Jacksonville is going to be one of those franchises that is going to have to just eat that contract and hope whoever they hire next can be a quarterback whisperer, get Trevor to wear. Because it just sucks for, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm not a Jaguar fan, but it just sucks that a franchise like that I don't even know how many years ago that was when they had Jalen Ramsey and all those guys, and they were this close to the Super Bowl. Now
that was wild.
Yeah. Now they're this, like, that's a crazy fall from grace. And you think you had optimism with drafting Lawrence. You're like, okay, it's a new day, and then your other first round pick gets hurt, and then your coach is a good idiot.
Like, a good running back room, but
was it James Rob? This is another, and I swear we're gonna get off this, but that's another red flag. So Carlos Hyde was one of his college running backs. And he fumbled in the game as well when James Robinson fumbled. And he still kept Carlos Hyde in the game. Like, who does that? James Robinson's the better back. That is nuts. In the professional setting, you're being that just one. That's crazy. Like,
he needs to go back. Just like Nick Saban did, man. At least Nick Saban did it quietly, and he knew his place, and he was like, I'm going back.
Yeah. And if he would have got Drew Brees, maybe he would have been in the league. But, yeah.
He's going out with a bang, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know, but we'll talk more about the NFL next week because, like I say, the weeks are counting down. We're definitely going to get into the playoffs real soon. So, you guys that are listening, stay tuned for that. But we had to do a little quick review of last night's game with Steph Curry. He became the all-time three-point leader in making three-point shots. And, it was a big milestone because, he, in my opinion, set the situation up so he can get it at MSG. It just made too much sense.
Of course.
The biggest platform in, I guess you could say, basketball. And he was able to get the record. So I wanted to ask the guys, I guess, what they think about that milestone, where that kind of maybe shifts in his, arc as an NBA player all the time. And Zoo, I'm going to start with you.
Man, it was storybook, man. TNT. So Reggie Miller did the call. The guy who was the previous holder before Ray Allen, who showed up in the building. So I just felt like it was perfect, man. MSG, I remember that was Steph Curry's
it's coming out, man.
Yeah, coming out party. Because I remember when he dropped 54, I'm just like, man, this little small. Because I remember Steph Curry, I was like, he's a cute little player. He's a young little player putting up 18 points in Golden State, losing like every game. Like, he's putting up some numbers down there. But when he dropped 54, man, I saw someone special. Like, this guy's shooting ability, but what this guy has done for the game, like, he changed the game. I think he has the biggest impact on the game today. In the history of basketball, I think he's one or two on the biggest impact on the game.
For sure.
From the traditional bigs of the post-up game from the 90s and 2000s to the more small little dudes jacking up threes and inspiring the LaMelo Balls and the Trae Youngs of the world, being able to dominate a game dominated by giants, having regular human beings, 6-foot guys dominate the game at the perimeter level. And what this guy's done for the game is incredible. Off the court, this guy's incredible. Like, this Steph Curry, he's the anti-Urban Myers, man. This guy is a great dude. This guy's a great dude. Not only is he one of the greatest basketball players of all time, guy just looks like a good dude I want to hang out with. Good husband, good dad, good person. Anti-Urban Myers.
And he what? How many less games did he do it in compared to Ray? Like 500 less games or something like that? I mean, it was ridiculous. That in and of itself, I think, everybody knew he was going to eventually break it. Probably within the last, honestly, probably since their 2016 championship, I think people were like, within the next 5, 6, 7 years, he's easily going to break. At that time, it might have been Reggie Miller, but, Ray Allen was creeping at that point too. Reggie's unfortunately had to watch two people and commentate live as they passed him, as I think he was the one on the call for the Ray Allen game as well. It might have been in Indiana, actually. They might have been playing the Pacers in that game. But besides the point, man, I agree with you, Zoo. I mean, he's probably the most pivotal player. I think he's changed the rule book more than any player, not necessarily just like the actual NBA rule book, but how players play, how you come off screens, kicking a leg out on that jump shot. There were other players that kind of came into that, but you look at Trae Young, he's 23 years old, man. When he was 10 years old, Steph Curry was making that run in Davidson. And you know that every player that played basketball, especially if you were a three-point shooter, I'll pat myself on the back a little bit right there. When I watched his tournament run, I think it was in 2009, 2008, 2009, I didn't think he was going to make it in the league and do what he was going to do, but it was a hell of a fun time watching him, man.
He was skinny.
He was small. He was
my
skinny.
God.
He had handles, and, at that point, he was really their only scorer. So he didn't really have to pass the ball as much. But we really saw his game progress. He pretty much added a four-pointer, I guess you could call it, that, led him to the way of the Lillards, right? Trae Young, we see it doing now, obviously. But yeah, man, shout out to him. He's an iconic player, man. I think up there with Jordan when it comes to influential in the NBA atmosphere. LeBron's obviously probably a better player overall. I think we don't need to get into all the comparisons and all that, but he didn't affect the game as much as Steph Curry has, to the point where they've even considered, throwing the idea around of a 4-point line. And I know they did it in the Big Three. They have that one little spot that was kind of the 4-point play bubble where you can shoot. That's kind of a Curry thing, man. So shout out to him, man. Good for him. Shout out to Ayesha Curry, clearly keeping him motivated. And look, man, I think they're going to make a run, and it would be storybook, to Zoo's point, if he also won a championship this year. I think that'd be you want to talk about a James Conner cherry on top, Zoo? That would be the cherry on top for Steph Curry's career, breaking it and winning the championship in the same year without his big running mate for the majority of the year.
Yeah, because on this pace, with this team 23-5 right now, he's on pace to win his third MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Third MVP, and he might be able to win another championship, and he might be able to get his elusive Finals MVP. Ooh. That's the last thing on his resume.
Iguodala.
And Iguodala stole one of them.
Highway robbery.
Robbery, man. Highway robbery. He held LeBron to 35 and 10. Good for him. Yeah. He made it tough on him. Okay, LeBron just got tired. He ain't making it.
Whoever voted that seriously, whoever, I don't know if there's
it was Max Kellerman.
Definitely was Max. But I don't know. I feel like Max was playing his character, man. I don't think
Bane of the universe. I want Iguodala.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll still give that same answer after last night.
He said that and kept his job, and just got demoted to. I don't know if he got demoted, but got another job with ESPN, which is insane. I feel like he's playing a character. I don't know. I feel like whoever was able, who is cast to making those votes for that, you should if you could find out who did that, you got to get that taken away. It was so irresponsible that they did that.
It was.
No idea why they did that.
Do you know who I would have voted for? LeBron. Even though he lost, I would have given it
done to Jerry West.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, I was watching that series. I'm just LeBron just playing with Timofey Mozgov was the second out. Timofey Mozgov.
Yeah,
yuck. That's another guy that got paid an obscene amount of money. But you know what's crazy about Steph? I think part of his growth when he came into the league, because he had the ankle problems. So part of his growth was, I think, at the beginning when he first got with Golden State, was Mark Jackson. I think, and Mark's talked about this sometimes on other podcasts I've listened to, how he really embraced, because you got to think people were shooting threes in the league and they were doing that, and it wasn't the 3-point shot wasn't there, but he really empowered Steph and Klay to an extent to let them be who they needed to be. Because you think of Steph, it's okay, he's a point guard. So you think, okay, point guards need to set up other teammates and do whatever. But I think Mark saw early, which is not rocket science if you're watching practice and seeing Steph bombing threes from half court, okay, this guy can shoot threes. But I think what's really cool is I think he empowered them to a point where it's okay, I know that you guys do this. I'm going to let you keep doing it. And, it looks crazy. And I know he came out early, was these are the two best shooters ever. And everybody's Ray Allen. And now he's being proven now that he broke the record yesterday, or last night. He's one of the best. He is the best shooter of all time. And I just think, Mark Jackson maybe as a tactician and trying to figure out how to get them different plays, maybe that didn't work out. But I think he really helped the development with Steph. Yeah. Now, I don't know if he's ever said that on record, but I would probably say that Steph would agree. He let them be who he is. Yeah, he let them be that. And then, once Kerr came in, they just got pushed over the top. So I think that's a big thing that I think Steph did. And, I think he's going to always be remembered as a person that influenced the game in terms of just the little guy, which I hate that we say that because he's bigger than like probably 85% of America. But it's just like he's in the NBA standards. He's a little guy, and he really made it possible for teams now. And I mean, it don't matter what size you are. If you're a skilled guard, you have a chance in the league. Like, you just need an ounce of athleticism. And like you say, Curry, I think people really sleep on his handles because he's up there in terms of handles. He may not be as flashy, but he gets to his spots, and that's because of his handle. His handle is ridiculous. So that's how I'm going to remember Curry. I think he's made a huge impact. And, you know, when you talk about the pillars, Mount Rushmores, the people in the NBA, like, you know, there's going to be the players that are ranked higher than him. But in terms of if you're just doing a Mount Rushmore of impact, like, Curry,
most important players to the game.
Curry's on that Rushmore. Like,
I think, like, if you're making a Mount Rushmore of guys who are the most important to the NBA game, he is on there.
Definitely,
no he is on there. He is on there.
Yeah, it's probably him, Jordan, Kareem.
Yeah. Man, stop it with Kareem, bro.
No, Kareem had the most stoppable shot. He has to be on there, Come on now. I know
he kind of entered into the big man.
Nobody has.
He was the big man that led up before Jordan.
Man, stop it, man. The game would have been fine without Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Well, it would have been fine. Has a shot like him, Zoo? Come on, man.
Wait, man. What has he influenced, man? Nothing.
The shot. He has a shot that nobody could replicate. That's like
and then all big men started using it.
No big men started using it.
The hook, just the hook shot in general. You don't have to say it's the jump hook from 20 feet away, which, I don't know how you were going to stop that. But just the jump hook motion in general, man, that was a patented move that all big men, you learn that as one of your first moves.
And they can't do it as well either.
No.
None of them can. Like, who does a jump hook nowadays? Embiid? Maybe.
Yeah, you remember Joakim Noah tried to do it back in the day.
I'm talking about impact, man. I'm not saying Kareem wasn't a great player. He got most unstoppable shot ever. But I'm talking about the impact, the game of the NBA basketball game. Nah, he had no depth.
Who would you put
not much
instead
influence.
of Kareem then?
Michael Jordan, LeBron James,
Curry.
LeBron James' influence on the offseason, player empowerment. He is the player of free agency.
It might be Shaq.
That was stop it. It's LeBron James.
He was the first player.
Now he just switched teams
to LA.
No, that's because Orlando was cheap. They didn't want to pay his ass.
Yeah, they don't want to pay.
LeBron James was the influence of free agency and creating teams and empowering the players.
Sure.
Steph Curry revolutionizing the game of the 3-point shot in the perimeter game, getting rid of the notion of jump shooting teams can't win. Michael Jordan revolutionized the game of off-court business of being a superstar in the NBA. NBA was irrelevant until Michael Jordan. And I would say Larry Bird, Magic Johnson for keeping the NBA alive. Those two guys kept it.
Not off tape.
That's a fair pick.
They were on tape delay. Like, man, NBA was irrelevant. Those guys kept it alive. So I feel like those guys are the most influential guys
That's fair.
of the NBA. Kareem.
I wouldn't argue. I still would argue Kareem, but that's not.
I'd argue Kareem over those two, but those are probably the other two I'd rotate in. Maybe Durant too. I think you could argue with the big man shooting.
George Gervin would like a word with Kevin Durant. He was scoring just like Kevin Durant. Just not as much.
Don't compare George Gervin to Kevin Durant, a guy who could pull up from three. George Gervin was a layup dude,
you're not hearing what I'm saying, bro.
Man, stop it, George Gervin. Man,
he didn't shoot threes like Kevin Durant, but I'm saying in terms of big men that was scoring. And I don't think George Gervin, like nobody, even because the same argument you talk about George Gervin, I'm not sure what age he was playing when the 3-point shot was coming, but they killed Michael by the same thing, saying, well, Michael didn't shoot threes. Well, nobody emphasized threes back then, so you can't get mad at George Gervin if they didn't emphasize it. Like, they say the same thing about Michael. I think if Michael was playing today, he would probably be able to shoot threes.
Yeah, he would have adapted.
Yeah, just like everybody else. Yep. But George Gervin's not going on a.
Okay, we're not bringing George Gervin to this conversation.
He's not going on
of the most impactful.
He was the OG big man who could score, like dribbling, and all that.
He had a really pretty finger roll. That thing, it looked nice.
That was what he was known for.
Yeah, it was nice. It was aesthetically pleasing, but Curry just made such a crazy impact, man. Like, I think, I'm not sure how old he is, but for him having those injury scares at the beginning with his ankles and stuff, it's been pretty cool to see him healthy for the most part. So we've been able to enjoy him able to break this record, and that record will probably never be broken. I just don't see it happening. So, yeah, shout out to Curry, man. But we're gonna kind of get up out of here. Same old talk. NFL, NBA. Quick shout out to signing day. A bunch of crazy stuff with college football. I got that on the Bullheaded_pod page on Instagram, Twitter, things of that nature. We're going to be doing, like I say, next week. NFL is getting really close to the playoffs. We'll be talking more NBA. Hopefully, everybody starts staying healthy with the COVID protocols and things like that, so we can still have these sports. So everyone out there stay safe. Like I said, as usual, make sure you guys subscribe to the Bullhead_Pod. Follow us on all the major platforms: Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, SoundCloud, all that. And for me and Zoo P. Bush, we're